What company secret from a former employer can you share?
If you ever chatted with a customer support representative, know that I, as a consultant, could see what you were typing before you hit the send button. There were times when I watched people type out offensive, racist, sexist remarks, concoct fraudulent schemes and lies, carefully correct their grammatical errors, display a full range of emotions, then delete it all and just write, "Okay."
I worked as a cleaner for over 10 years at a major hotel chain. You wouldn't believe how many people commit suicide or just die of natural causes in hotel rooms. I worked in a massive hotel with over 1,000 rooms, and it happened quite often.
Usually, we would just remove the body, do a regular cleaning, unless there was some extreme mess, and the next guest would have no idea. At one of the hotels where I worked, a woman committed suicide by drinking antifreeze.
Her body turned blue, and there was blood, vomit, and feces everywhere.
My friend, who was on duty that night, saw it all.
He couldn't sleep for a long time after that. Working in hotels will change you.
This company no longer exists, but in the early 90s, I worked at Radio Shack for a year and a half.
When customers returned defective merchandise, the store manager would simply repackage it and sell it again as new. When I asked him why he did that, he replied, "I just hope they return it to a different store." I almost got fired when I refused to sell a guy a radio that I knew didn't work.
The guy was going hunting and wanted to buy 3 identical radios for himself and his friends.
We had 2 working ones, but the third was broken. In front of the customer, I told the manager that I had checked one radio, and it didn't work.
The guy was glad I told him, and we agreed he would pick up the 3rd radio at another store, and he left.
The manager was furious and almost fired me.
Sorry, but I'm not sending people into the woods with equipment that I know doesn't work. The funniest part is that a few months later, this manager got caught stealing from the store and was fired. The difference between high-quality meat delicacies sold in upscale butcher shops and regular meat delicacies sold in other grocery stores is that we just changed the labels.
We would literally stop the production line, wait for the guy running the labeling machine to switch them, and then start the line again.
This is common for any product.
Edit. The very concept of how we perceive product quality amazes me.
I work in the wine industry, and I'm stunned at how much people are willing to spend on wine just because the packaging gives the impression of high quality.
Of course, marketing plays a big role too. Regular brands don't invest properly in advertising, or invest much less, so the production costs for such wines can remain low. Cheaper packaging, cheaper advertising, same product but at a lower price. I used to work at a graphic design company. All our Adobe software was pirated. From what I've heard about Adobe, if I were doing something similar, I would pirate it too. All new clothes and everything you try on in a store is dirty. I've worked in retail for many years, and many might be surprised, but there are no washing machines, no disinfectant spray, no wipes. Nothing. I opened boxes of new clothes and saw white bugs crawling out of them. I saw women after a workout, all sweaty and smelly, come in, try on clothes, and then hang them back up and leave. Once, an elderly woman left skin flakes the size of dimes on the clothes she tried on. Not to mention when a customer returns an item, you don't know what they did with it at home. And we don't know what happens in the factories. People are disgusting. Everything is dirty, so always wash new clothes when you get home from the store. Call center. When you hear the automated message, "We are currently experiencing high call volumes. Please hold," know that this message is constant. The company management just didn't staff properly. One summer I worked as a dog groomer. We would give the dog a treat even if it behaved badly. This is outrageous. If you don't hear music when you're supposedly on hold, know that the operator just muted the microphone and can still hear you. Sometimes I heard extremely interesting and horrifying things from customers who thought I couldn't hear them. I worked for a large cable TV company called Time Warner. We had 4 billing cycles. At some point, the billing system was updated, but something went wrong, and all periods except the current one showed as overdue. Instead of fixing the error immediately, we were told to apply payments only if the customer called. I did some calculations and found that 1/3 of the residents in our city were billed incorrectly. The total error was over $1 million. Most people just continued paying their bills without noticing the discrepancies.
One time, the manager at an Arby's fast food restaurant changed the expiration date stickers on the bread to new ones, apparently to keep the bread longer. I ended up throwing out about 100 flatbreads covered in greenish mold.
I worked at a large construction company where I often saw salespeople intentionally leave out items in contracts because they would get extra pay for change orders. Me. You forgot to include the frames in the contract. Sneaky salesperson. Oh, looks like you need a change order. I worked for a company that restored and cleaned homes. An elderly woman once asked us to restore her home. I don't remember if she was a hoarder or had a fire. Anyway, our company billed her $57,000, but they couldn't justify even $20,000 in expenses. The woman couldn't get her insurance to pay out. There were other examples of gross overbilling, but this was the worst case I knew that didn't involve major losses. The lesson: if you've had a flood, fire, or your home is moldy or cluttered and you call a company to clean it up, go through every item on their bill. Every single item. We have a very popular restaurant in our town that's considered one of the best. Everyone loves to go there. They claim all the food is homemade. Their hot beef sandwiches with homemade, mashed potatoes, gravy, and fried fish are famous. The fried fish is called cod plate. In reality, the gravy is an instant mix from Cisco, as is the mashed potatoes. The cod is fresh and fried only on Fridays. If you order it on any other day, you get breaded fish fillet from Cisco with random fish pieces inside. I worked at L'Oreal. L'Oreal and Lancome Cosmetics are practically the same, but Lancome costs $20 more. I am 90% sure that the company I worked for imported products from China, repackaged them, and sold them as made in the USA. They mixed these products with those actually produced in the USA. Movie theaters don't make money from tickets. They make money from food and drinks. Despite this, 99.9% of theater employees won't care if you bring your own food. We just ask you to be discreet so that the 0.1% who do care won't yell at us. I work in ice production. My shift supervisor accidentally dropped a 7-gram bag of weed into a bag of ice. It was sent out for delivery. No one called to complain. Yeah, was there anyone who called to say thanks? I worked in insurance. It turned out that hundreds of people without any special clearance have access to your SSN, Social Security number. The same can be said about any HR department. The company I worked for literally stored an unprotected Google Sheets file with all employees' addresses, SSNs, and even salaries. Hotels typically don't have round-the-clock security, maintenance, or cleaning services. Once the housekeeper finishes cleaning all the rooms, the entire staff leaves, except for one front desk employee. Yeah, as a 19-year-old working at a fairly popular hotel, I was often left alone. There were times when I really didn't know what to do. People would call and say something in their room was broken, and all I could do was go up and just try to fix whatever it was. Meanwhile, the front desk was completely unattended. This happened at 9 p.m., not 3 a.m. I worked at a casino. I sat in the surveillance room watching the floor. From about 3 stories up, we could zoom in on the money on the tables and read the serial numbers on the bills. We could even see the pips on the dice. However, we were forbidden from looking under ladies' blouses. In Vegas, everyone has to watch everyone. Since players try to cheat the casino, dealers watch the players, boxmen watch the dealers, floormen watch the boxmen, supervisors watch the floormen, pit bosses watch the supervisors, the manager watches the pit bosses, I watch the manager, and the eye in the sky watches all of us. I once worked as a receptionist at an upscale beauty salon. During my time there, our salon introduced a new line of products aimed at men. Until then, most of our products were aimed at women, but management noticed more male clients. Each product in the men's line was about half the price of the women's. The men's shampoo was exactly the same shampoo we had been selling for years, but since it was in black packaging labeled for men, it was half the price. The salon owner explained it like this: well, men don't really want to spend money on hair products. During my time there, every time a female client was about to buy shampoo, I advised her to get the men's shampoo. After all, it was the same product at half the price. There was a huge amount of confirmed cases of sexual violence against young women, 18 to 25 years old, from Syria and Iraq, committed by employees of state refugee agencies.
After further investigation, my team and I found that counselors from one agency were having intimate relationships with refugee girls. They denied them job opportunities to keep them in financial desperation.
When the girls became desperate, the counselors suggested private prostitution. Upon discovering all this, I notified the organization's leaders. They thanked me, and the next day the counselors were fired. I was invited to an important meeting with senior management, where they apologized, saying, "We don't do such things. Don't get the wrong idea." In the next 3 months, 6 more whistleblowers and investigators on this case and I were fired from the company, for various reasons. On paper, it looked like a coincidence, but in reality, they just quietly got rid of us all. 2 of the counselors we found to be most involved weren't fired.
They were allowed to resign, and now they work in another agency dealing with vulnerable young girls. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments below the video, share the secrets of the company you used to work for and don't forget to check out our other videos.